Hey there, Goa fans. This is Mark, DJ Solitaire here with episode 83 of Retro Goa Explorations, my weekly series in which I share in every episode one of my favorite tracks from the 1990s Goa Trance psychedelic dance movement. We are still in our extended exploration of music from the 96 to 97 season, tracks that I first came across, even if they were sometimes produced a bit earlier. Not tracks produced later. That would be fun. But tracks that I first came across sometime between September 96 and roughly August of 97. And this track is being featured is one that I've wanted to feature, and I kind of moved it ahead of the queue because one of the artists who participated in this just died within a couple of days of this episode stream. And this was Ollie Olsen. May he rest in peace. A phenomenal and very influential and important producer in sort of what's described as, post-punk electronic scene. And I first came across Ollie's name when I was reading the booklet notes for the first Concept in Dance CD, Digital Alchemy, where Paul Oakenfold, who is more of a mainstream DJ who then got bitten by the Goa bug, was writing evocatively, and he mentioned the name of some producers, and he mentioned Ollie Olsen. Now, this was just around the time, just after I'd heard Ollie Wisdom, whose name I didn't know. I mean, I knew the name Ollie, but I didn't know that his full name was Ollie Wisdom. So I didn't know that Ollie Wisdom and Ollie Olsen were different people. They were very different people, both for a time in Australia, as Ollie Wisdom moved down there in 95 for a little bit. So, but Ollie Olsen was involved in many projects, and the one that I'm featuring today isn't one of his solo works, and simply because I wasn't familiar with a lot of it. I was, I had the music that I was after, and I had access to stuff in certain ways. There was copying some music from friends, and I was going to CDs, CD shops and buying what I liked. And so his Shell and Wooden Men project I actually didn't pick up at the time. And I'm just not as familiar with it. And I will be exploring it. But Psycho Disco, which was a collaborative project with Fred Disco and Steve Lavelle, who went by Steve Psycho. So they became Psycho Disco. This album I remember very much, and it came out first on Harmonics, and then it was out on Flying Rhino. And there's a couple of tracks from that album in particular that I adore. And Mon Ami is a real favorite. It's not the one I'm featuring. It's I ended my ZNA set in 2022 with that one. I just love that track in more ways than I can describe. But the one that I wanted to share today is one that I remember from the time. And I remember the specific time that I heard it because, my memory. And it was a Halloween party in London in October 96 when Tsuyoshi was playing, and it was in some kind of weird theater. I have very vague recollections of this, believe it or not. But I have this very specific recollection of hearing the track Nobody, because I remember the sort of the rhythm and the kind of the voices with this, and I remember hearing the word nobody, and so I was like, oh, okay, that just kind of stood out. So a little bit of imprinting there. This is a phenomenal track, and it's, Tsuyoshi was really able to, and still is able to, sort of play through all of these different flavors of Goa, dare I say, right? Psychedelic dance movement, the music, um, and can make them work in a story. And I really learned a lot from, fortunately, being able to hear him at least like once a month. Uh, in while I was living in London. I think I've stated in May '97. I heard him 3 weeks in a row on 3 different continents. I'd say I'm a bit of a fan. So he was here at this Halloween party with devil horns. How uncharacteristic. And I remember this track very, very clearly. And that's the one we're going to listen to. It's really brilliant. It's got a lot of elements where, we can see common elements with Goa stuff. And then there's certain aspects of that particular Australian flavor, very tribal, really like a lot of wildness, forest sounds at night, much before it turned, we got what is now termed as forest. And just absolutely amazing, amazing music. So let's listen to the wonderful track that Ollie did participate on with Psyko Disko. Nobody. So not only again the voices, but listen to the rhythm. So the syncopated rhythm, really catchy, and then that drum kicks in. It just feels like a split beat early. And again, notice the accenting and the drive here. Very Australian bass line. Love the little echoing that's happening on the voices there. And not a whole lot of new material coming in here, right? But it really holds your attention. Love, again, just these little echoes coming in. And some of these sounds were really characteristic of the Australian music at the time. This sort of bend of wow. Real digi kind of thing. And that rubbery kind of sound. Notice the hi-hats there. Kind of Morse code thing. Pay attention to all the rhythms. There's that right at the beginning of on the strong beat there. And now that expands into this riff. More bouncy stuff. Just quantum waves everywhere, all this rhythmic stuff that, again, outdoors, not just in a movie theater, but outdoors on a big system. The trees are talking to you. How hypnotic, eh? Those 3 notes, just really atonal. Again, a little bit of a throwback to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And where with this music it just sort of evolved and went into this. So there's kind of that feeling of, you're hitting these notes that are uncoding some extraterrestrial message or introducing some communication. That drive. Notice how the rhythm then just became relentless. amazing. A little bit different articulation there somehow. And you have this, sounds like bees or birds or something. Four times in a row, eh? Get that gnarly voice in there. Voice coming back. What is that? Just noises from another dimension. What an anthem, right? I mean, again, this uplifting, celebratory, but somewhat anguished tone that we've heard in a lot of the legendary tracks from the time. And that note relationship. Wonderful intervals. So notice we've gone from all that voice rhythmic stuff into really the full harmonic, psi-harmonic sound in this section. Incredible storytelling. Getting that rhythm coming back in the opening. Love that punctuated rhythm underneath. That rhythm again from the opening. Just swimming in sound waves. I mean, holy moly. Just like descending. That's full range, eh? So much going on. What incredible story. It goes really from that rhythmic and evocative kind of, punctuation and voices and sounds and so on. And it just ends up in this full harmonic mayhem. And unpredictable. And that's what the Australian music was often like. And really what I think this music should be like. Kind of have a sense of what might be coming, but there's always going to be some surprises. And then it's like, whoa, where did that come from? And it really puts you in the present moment. It's a real major, of course, defining characteristic of the psychedelic experience. And having, the sounds of, it sounds like the sounds of nature, the sounds from beyond, opening up in this dimension. And mission accomplished on this track. And brilliant collaborative work by the late, great Ollie Olsen, together with Psycho Disco. So hats off and rest in peace, Maestro Olsen. And I will be featuring, there's another one of his collaborative tracks that's been on my mind and that I'm building towards that will be featured in not too long in this series. So I'll sign off here, Mark DJ Solitaire, ending episode 83 and leaving you with the complete, massive, mind bending, consciousness expanding track by Psycho Disco Nobody.